Thanks to 2 William Nylander goals and some amazing saves from Joseph Woll, the Leafs and the Bruins are headed back to Boston for Game 7 of Round 1 of the Stanley Cup Playoffs 2024. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Victoria and I talk all things Toronto sports from Scotland, and today we're talking about Game 6, Leafs versus Bruins. Leafs win it 2-1, even though in my mind it was 2-0, but I digress. Austin Matthews is still out with an undisclosed illness or injury, and I just really hope he's okay. I think that's a really concerning thing that he's not able to play, and hopefully he can recover from whatever it is that's wrong with him. The other significant changes were that Ryan Reaves was out last night and Noah Gregor was in. I think Ryan Reaves has got a really good impact on the locker room. I wasn't too sure about the Ryan Reaves signing, and honestly, when I saw the video of him hyping up all the other players before they were going out onto the ice last night, even though he wasn't playing, I was like, you've really grown on me over time. So let's dive into what Game 6 looked like and how the Leafs managed to pull back to force a Game 7 after being 3-1 down in the series. And it is the sunniest day again. I had this problem like last week as well. And I like the natural light though, so I apologise for the fact that it is really bright in here and the light keeps changing. But it's a sunny, beautiful day in Scotland. The sun is shining, the Leafs have managed to pull back from a 3-1 deficit. All is well in the world. Going into period 1, I felt like both teams really came out firing. There was a lot of back and forth, there was some end-to-end hockey, and even though I feel like both teams really came out and performed well, the Leafs by far were getting more pucks on net. The Leafs were out shooting Boston significantly in the first period, and the Leafs had way more offensive zone time and they definitely had more control over the game. However, Boston didn't look weak. I don't feel like Boston looked quite as all over the place in the first period anyway as what they did in Game 5, where I thought Boston had made some mistakes. Around 7.5 minutes into the game, John Tavares had a really nice shot on goal as well. The Leafs were blocking a lot of shots. They were really putting their bodies on the line, which is something that I love to see. Halfway through the period, there was a nice chance from Marner. He seems to have definitely improved a bit, but I would still like to see him, perhaps shooting a little more. I still don't think he's showcasing all that he can do by any means, but definitely an improvement from where he was earlier in this series. We also got to see Marchand in the penalty box again. He got 2 minutes for roughing, and the Leafs went on the power play. Now their power play, again, I feel like I say this in every single video, but the Leafs power play is the weakness of this team. It is the Achilles heel of this Leafs team in this postseason. They just can't connect on it. They're just really not that effective on the power play, to the point where I actually have stopped seeing a power play as a benefit to the Leafs, because honestly it means that likely Boston are going to get a penalty back. That's just how officiating works, and Boston's power play is a lot stronger than the Leafs. So really, at one point last night I was like, please just don't give them any more power plays. It's pointless. However, on this first power play, the second power play unit did get some chances. They looked really good, but they still just couldn't make anything connect. And so the first period wraps up. Leafs outshot the Bruins in the first period 12-1, and in that last minute of that first period, the Leafs were really scrambling around the net. I thought they might have managed to get something in, but they didn't, and so we are scoreless after the first period. Going into the second period, I honestly thought that this game could have been goes to overtime because it's scoreless kind of game. I just felt like nobody was going to score, and even though the Leafs had far more chances than Boston, it just felt like one of those games that was so, I don't know, I just don't feel like anyone was going to score, and so I was really concerned that this game was just never going to end, to be honest. Jake McCabe did get a good look just a minute in, and then the Leafs get their second power play of the game, and it was a 4-minute power play because there was a high stick on Bertuzzi, and because it drew blood, double minor. So the Leafs had 4 minutes to score, and they spent the first 2 minutes not even getting a shot on net. The Leafs power play, I'm sorry, I can't talk about it anymore because it's just, still annoyed with the power play. Boston really controlled the entire kill. 4 minutes, I mean, fair play to Boston, they killed it off really well. The Leafs just really struggled to find form in the power play. Even giving them 4 minutes, the power play issue just continues. Then 6.5 minutes into the second period, and Boston still only had one shot on goal. Boston's first even strength shot wasn't until more than 7 minutes into the second period. They went a whole 15 minutes of the game without a shot on net, which is really uncharacteristic for this Bruins team. And I was a little concerned at one point that Joseph Woll wasn't having anything to do, and you know, easy for a goaltender to lose focus when they've got absolutely nothing to do for a while, which was definitely not the case for Joseph Woll. But I did worry that when they did start getting shots on net, that perhaps the focus might have gone just a little bit, because if you're standing there with nothing to do for so long, you know, I just wonder, like, does your brain perhaps like wander off a little bit? Do you perhaps relax just a little too much? So that was a concern I had at this point in the game, but that concern was gone very, very quickly, because in the second half of the second period, Boston really piled the pressure on, and Woll had some unreal saves. Absolutely unreal saves. He was such a difference maker in that game once again. The sun has just gone behind the clouds, and I feel like the lighting has just changed drastically. I really do apologise for the light. I do have more professional filming stuff, but I just like the sunlight. Anyway, back to the game. Sorry for that interlude. Woll, once again, massive difference to that team. I said it in game 5. Once again for game 6, Joseph Woll has won them those games. Joseph Woll has been the biggest element that has let the Leafs pull this back and force it to a game 7. If they had kept putting Samsonov in, I like Samsonov, I really respect him as a netminder, I really do. But he doesn't have the same composure as what Woll does. He doesn't play with that same calm, composed attitude, I don't think. I think Samsonov has more of a tendency to panic, and he just has a lot of inconsistencies. Boston went on the power play. There was actually a trip by Woll, and so there was a delayed penalty on the Leafs. The Leafs are out shooting Boston 18-7 at this point, and honestly, the Leafs penalty kill here, really good. Edmondson was blocking shots, Jan Krok was clearing it, Woll got a glove down save. It was just really good penalty kill. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was fantastic. However, Boston continued to get way more chances this period. They looked much better than they had done in the first period, for sure, but I didn't need to get concerned for too long, because William Nylander, off an amazing pass from Matthew Nyes, scores a goal. A Nylander goal, what we've all been waiting for. I love Nylander so much. I really like Nylander. I think he has looked good in this series, especially coming back from obviously being out with those severe migraine problems. So massive respect to him, honestly, huge respect. I have liked the way he's looked, but it was so nice to see him finally getting some tangible results from his efforts last night. So scored right near the end of the second period, and so the Leafs get to head into period 3 with a lead, and I am absolutely sweating at this point. My Fitbit definitely thought I was doing a workout at like 3 o'clock in the morning. Honestly, I was looking at my heart rate, and it was definitely thinking like, what the fuck is happening here? Going to the third period, Leafs were now out shooting Boston 20-13, which, even though it is still a significant ratio, given that Boston had only had like one shot on goal until like almost halfway through the second period, you can tell Boston had really started getting pucks on net. And the first 5 minutes of the third period, a lot of pressure on the Leafs from Boston. The Leafs were really struggling to clear the zone at some points. I was concerned. Then John Tavares got a breakaway, it looked really good, and it was so close, but not quite. Again, Woll kept the minute. There was a really good challenge from Boston around the 13-minute mark. Massive save from Woll. I can't praise Joseph Woll enough. I cannot. I'm seriously considering getting a Woll jersey at this point. And then with 7.5 minutes left in the game, Boston had almost evened up the shots on goal with 21 to the Leafs 24, which tells you just how much offensive zone pressure Boston were putting on this period. They really pulled it back, given that they really didn't get anything on target for, you know, the first half of the game. To bring it back like that and for the Leafs to still be in the lead, really, really impressive. With 2 minutes 13 left in the game, William Nylander makes it 2 goals, a Nylander breakaway. It was stunning, it was beautiful, it was perfect, 10 out of 10, no notes. Nylander makes it 2-0 Leafs, and we all knew then that the Leafs were heading back to Boston. So exciting. I apologise to my neighbours for it being like 3:30 in the morning. I don't care. I do not care. And then right at the end of the game, I actually almost missed it because I was so excited over the game ending. I think with like half a second left, Boston managed to score. Geeky got a goal. And so the game finished 2-1, which is why in my mind I'm like, oh, it's 2-0, even though it was not. It was 2-1. They scored with, I think it was less than a second left in the game, which insane, but whatever. As much as I would have loved a shout for Woll, he did so well. He should not let that bother him at all. Like, he should not care. Nylander and Woll, standouts by a million miles. However, honestly, that team really pulled together as a whole. I don't have a massive criticism of anyone. I really liked how the Leafs have played defensively in this series. I think in this round they've played defensively really well. It's been their sort of offense that's been more of a problem, I would say, and it just all pulled together last night. The harmony in that team was just completely there. It just merged and gelled so well, and I felt like they looked like a playoff team last night. The Leafs really looked like a playoff team, and I feel like, you know, they've gone from being the team that blew a 3-1 lead in the first round against Montreal just a few years ago to now the team that can come back from being 3-1 down in a series, and that's something I don't think the Leafs of previous years were able to do. I think the pressure was too much on them. I think they weren't able to come back like that. Even in games they struggled to come back from tailing behind, and they've managed to do it in a playoff round, which I just think is really impressive. And there's definitely something in this team that now has clicked that hadn't clicked at the start of this round. I don't know if it's the goaltending. It's really like bizarre that Austin Matthews, like the best player on the team, is not playing, but perhaps the fact they're not relying on Matthews for anything because they can't has meant that the rest of the team have really had to pull together. I don't know, but I'm so happy for them. I really do hope Austin's okay though. I'm really concerned about Austin's health and well-being, and hopefully he can make a recovery. First and foremost for his own health, but also it would be really great to have him back, of course. So Game 7 is on Saturday night in Boston. I can't believe that as Leafs fans we're about to relive a Game 7 at TD Gardens again, but here we are. To be fair, most of us didn't think this was going to happen. You know, they were 3-1 down. We didn't see this kind of comeback coming, but they've done it, and I'm so just happy today. I'm on cloud 9. So those are my thoughts on Game 6, Leafs versus Bruins. Comment down below. Do you think that the Leafs are going to finally win a Game 7 against Boston? Do you think that Boston are still going to do what they've done in years previous? What do you think of Game 6? Let me know your thoughts. I always want to hear them. Make sure to like this video and subscribe, and I'll be back very soon with more Toronto sports chats from across the pond. Bye guys.